My mom heartlessly abandoned me at 4, left me at a community center daycare, and vanished for 20 years. Now she wants to reconnect. But when I learned the real reason, everything changed. I'm Olivia Harper, live to most 25, a graphic designer in Asheville, North Carolina, where I turn sketches into stories through color and shape. My life's good now. I'm engaged to Sam Carter, my rock, and surrounded by the family who raised me. Aunt Nora, my real mom in every way. My grandparents, Ellen and George, and my cousin Ben, more brother than cousin. But Rachel Bennett, my biological mother, cast a shadow I can't quite shake, and her sudden message, after 2 decades of silence, has stirred up memories I'd rather forget. I don't remember much of Rachel, just flashes, a sharp voice, a frown, never a hug. She had me at 22, young and restless, thrilled at first, or so I'm told. But babies aren't toys you can set aside when the fun fades. I was a toddler who cried, spilled juice, needed her, and that was too much. She'd drop me with Nora or my grandparents to hit bars or chase whatever spark caught her eye. By 4, she was barely around. My strongest memory is her snapping at me for knocking over a soda can, her eyes cold, like I was a problem to solve. Nora's warmth later, cheering at my school art fairs, filled that void, but it never erased it. When I was 4, Rachel told the community center daycare she'd be back in an hour. She didn't return, not that day or the next. Clara Evans, a volunteer there, kept me safe until Child Protective Services stepped in. Nora adopted me, no hesitation, raising me in her cozy Asheville home with Ben. I grew up loved, painting with Nora, hiking with Ben, baking with Ellen and George. They made me feel wanted, though sometimes I'd stare at the stars, wondering why I wasn't enough for her. At 18, I found an old photo album in Nora's attic, not papers, but pictures. One showed a young Rachel holding me, her smile forced. Another had Nora signing adoption forms, her face fierce with love. I confronted Nora, Ben, and my grandparents, heart pounding. They told me the truth. Rachel had walked away, too wild for responsibility, and Nora chose to be my mom. It hurt, but it also made sense. Nora's hugs, Ben's pranks, George's stories were my home. I buried Rachel's ghost, focusing on school, then college, landing a job designing logos and websites. Sam came along, his quiet humor lighting up my days, and we got engaged last spring. Life was bright until Rachel's Instagram message hit my inbox 3 months ago. Liv, I'm your mom. Can we meet? I owe you an explanation. I stared at her profile. Married to some guy named Tom. 2 little boys, a realtor with a polished smile. She looked happy, whole, like she'd erased me. Why now? Sam held my hand as I debated replying. Curiosity won, but so did doubt. I'd built a life without her. Whatever Rachel wanted, I wasn't sure I could give it, or if I even owed her the chance. Rachel's Instagram message sat in my inbox like a stone, heavy and cold. Liv, I'm your mom. Can we meet? After 20 years, she thought she could just slide back into my life? I was 25, happy in Asheville, my graphic design work thriving, my wedding to Sam on the horizon. But curiosity gnawed at me. What did she want? I checked her profile. Rachel Bennett, realtor, smiling with her husband Tom and 2 little boys, a life that didn't include me. She'd hidden my existence from them, and that stung more than I expected. Against Sam's gentle caution, I agreed to meet her at Bean and Brew, a cozy coffee shop downtown, hoping for answers, bracing for lies. The shop smelled of roasted beans and cinnamon, sunlight spilling through big windows. Rachel was already there, her hair neater than my fuzzy toddler memories, but her eyes were the same, sharp, calculating. She stood, arms open like we were old friends. Liv, honey, she said, voice sugary. Call me Mom. I froze, clutching my latte. Mom? Nora was my mom. I sat, stiff, and let her talk. She gushed about my career, logos I designed for local shops, posts about my engagement on social media. I'm so proud, she said, but it felt rehearsed, like she'd stalked my life to prep for this. I didn't trust it. Why now? I asked, my voice low. You left me at that daycare when I was 4. Never called, never checked in. What's changed? Her smile faltered, but she leaned in, eyes misty. I was young, Liv, barely 22. I wasn't ready. I messed up, but I've changed. I want my daughter back. Her words sounded right, but they didn't feel true. I pressed harder. You've got a family now. Tom, your boys, why didn't you tell them about me? She fidgeted, sipping her coffee. It's complicated. Tom's private. I didn't want to stir things up. The conversation shifted, and that's when it got weird. Rachel started talking about hard times, her real estate deals slowing, bills piling up. You're doing so well, she said, her tone too casual. Freelancing, engaged, it must be nice to have stability. My stomach twisted. Was she fishing for money? I saw her then, not as a mom, but as a stranger sizing me up. What are you really asking for? I said, sharper than I meant. Her face tightened, but she waved it off. Nothing, Liv. I just want to know you. I didn't buy it. Anger flared, hot and sudden. Know me? I said, leaning forward. You don't get to waltz in after 20 years and act like we're family. You left me, Rachel, not for an hour, but for good. I grew up fine without you, and I don't need you using my life to fix yours. Her eyes widened, but I was done. I stood, tossing cash for my coffee on the table. Don't call me honey, and don't expect me to call you mom. I walked out, the Asheville air cool on my face, my heart pounding. Sam was waiting at home, ready to listen, but as I drove, one thought burned. Rachel wanted something, and it wasn't me. Whatever she was playing at, I wasn't falling for it. After the coffee shop, I thought I'd shut Rachel out for good, but she wasn't done. Her messages flooded my Instagram, long, pleading texts about second chances and family. I ignored them, focusing on my Asheville life, designing a mural for a local brewery, planning my wedding with Sam. But Rachel's words lingered, like a bruise I couldn't stop pressing. Sam noticed my distraction, his steady hazel eyes searching mine over dinner one night. Liv, you're carrying her with you, he said gently. Maybe talking to someone could help. He was right. I found Dr. Karen Ellis, a therapist with a warm voice and sharp insight, and started unpacking the mess Rachel had left. Doctor, Ellis helped me see the anger I'd buried. Anger at Rachel for leaving me at that community center daycare when I was 4, for acting like 20 years could vanish with a smile. But Rachel didn't let up. She messaged Aunt Nora, then Ben, begging them to convince me to talk. Nora called me, her voice firm but kind. She reached out, Liv, but I told her to respect your space. You don't owe her anything. Ben texted, half joking. Your bio mom's blowing up my phone. Want me to block her? Their support felt like a shield, but Rachel's persistence cracked it. She even called my grandparents, Ellen and George, who shut her down but warned me. She's desperate, sweetheart. Be careful. I tried to focus, tweaking designs at my studio, sketching with Sam at our apartment, the Blue Ridge Mountains framing the sunset outside. But a week later, an email from Tom Reed, Rachel's husband, hit my inbox. Subject: about Rachel. My heart sank. I opened it, hands shaky. He apologized for Rachel's secrecy. She'd never told him about me, and asked to meet, saying it was urgent. Against my better judgment, I agreed, choosing a quiet park near Pack Square. Tom was tall, nervous, his wedding ring glinting as he spoke. Liv, I didn't know you existed until recently. Rachel's sick. Her liver's failing. She needs a transplant, and we hoped maybe you'd be a match. The words landed like a punch. A transplant? I stared at the park's oak trees, their leaves rustling, as reality sank in. Rachel's outreach wasn't about me. It was about her survival. So that's why she's back, I said, my voice low. Not to know me, but to use me as a spare part. Tom flinched, stammering about her regret, but I cut him off. She left me at 4, Tom. Never called, never cared. Now she thinks I'll give her my liver because we share DNA? My hands trembled, but my resolve didn't. I'm not testing. I'm not her daughter. Not like that. He nodded, defeated, and I walked away, the mountain air sharp in my lungs. Back home, I told Sam everything, his arms around me as I shook. You did the right thing, he said. Nora came over, her hug fierce, and Ben cracked a joke about Rachel's nerve, easing the tension. Dr. Ellis's next session helped me untangle the guilt. Why did I feel bad for saying no to someone who'd abandoned me? You're allowed to choose yourself, Liv, she said. I clung to that, but Rachel didn't stop. She texted Ben at his bartending job, pleading for him to talk sense into me. I blocked her number, but dread crept in. What would she try next? My family stood by me, Nora's voice echoing, "We're your home, always." Yet Rachel's shadow loomed, her desperation a storm I couldn't outrun. I wasn't sure what she'd do, but I knew one thing. I wasn't the scared kid she'd left behind. I'd fight to keep my peace, no matter what. I thought blocking Rachel would end it, but she wasn't done tearing into my life. I was deep in a graphic design project for a big Asheville cafe. Posters, menus, a whole rebrand, when an email from the owner, Mia, stopped me cold. "Liv, we need to talk. Got a concerning message about your work." My stomach dropped. Mia forwarded a note from Rachel, claiming I was unreliable, erratic, and risky to hire. She'd spun lies about missed deadlines and unstable behavior. None of it true. My hands shook as I read, the cozy hum of my studio drowned out by fury. Rachel had gone after my career, my lifeline. I met Mia at the cafe, the smell of fresh bread doing nothing to calm me. I explained everything, Rachel's abandonment, her transplant desperation, her lies to hurt me. Mia listened, her face softening. "I trust you, Liv. Your work's solid. Let's keep going." Relief hit, but so did rage. Rachel had tried to ruin me, and for what? To force me into her life? I poured my energy into the project, but the violation lingered, a shadow over Asheville's vibrant streets. Then, one rainy evening, it got worse. Sam and I were cooking dinner in our apartment, the Blue Ridge Mountains misty outside, when a knock rattled the door. I opened it, and there stood Rachel and Tom, soaked but defiant. Rachel's eyes were red, her voice pleading. "Liv, we're sorry. Please, let's talk." Tom chimed in. "We've been in therapy. We just want a chance." I gripped the door, my scarred memories of Rachel's coldness clashing with her tears. "You don't get to show up here," I said, voice low, "not after emailing my client with lies." Rachel gasped, fake shock on her face. "I was worried about you." Worried? I saw the truth, her transplant need, her desperation to control me. "You left me at 4, I said, stepping forward. "You hid me from Tom, begged for my liver, and now you're sabotaging my work. You're not my mom. You're a stranger who wants something." Tom tried to interrupt, his voice rising. "Liv, she's sick. You're family." I laughed, bitter. "Family doesn't do this. You're trespassing. Leave." They didn't move. Rachel sobbed louder, Tom's face darkening like they could bully me into submission. My heart raced, but I was done. "I'm calling the police," I said, pulling out my phone. Rachel's eyes widened. "Liv, no!" But I dialed, voice steady as I reported an unwanted intrusion. Sam stood behind me, his hand on my shoulder. Minutes later, sirens cut through the rain. 2 officers listened to my story, then escorted Rachel and Tom away, their protests fading into the night. I sank onto the couch, Sam's arms around me. Nora called, outraged but proud. "You stood your ground, Liv," Ben texted. "Cops? Badass." Dr. Ellis's next session helped me process. Rachel's lies, her intrusion, my fear. "You protected your life," she said. I nodded, feeling the weight lift. Rachel had pushed me to my limit, but I'd fought back. My apartment, my designs, my family, Nora, Sam, Ben, Ellen, George were mine to keep. Rachel didn't own me, and she never would again. After the police escorted Rachel and Tom away, a quiet settled over my Asheville life. But I wasn't naive enough to think it'd last without action. I met with a lawyer the next week, filing a restraining order to keep Rachel from contacting me or my clients again. The process was daunting. Paperwork, recounting her lies, but it felt right, like locking a door she'd never stop knocking on. I needed peace, and I was done waiting for her to give it to me. My studio hummed with new designs, Sam planned our wedding, and Nora's laughter filled our calls. But Rachel's shadow lingered until I made it mine to cast. Then I did something bold. I'd always kept my pain private, but Dr. Ellis's words, "Your story's yours to tell," stuck with me. I recorded a podcast episode for a local Asheville arts channel, pouring out everything. Rachel leaving me at that daycare when I was 4, her 20-year absence, her return for money and a liver, her lies to my client, her apartment stunt. "She lost me when she walked away," I said, voice steady, and I found a family who stayed. I hit publish, heart racing. The response floored me. Hundreds of downloads, messages from strangers sharing their own stories of toxic family. thanking me for speaking up. It wasn't just closure, it was power. Rachel stopped reaching out, the restraining order holding firm. Ben heard through a mutual friend she was still sick, searching for a transplant, but I didn't flinch. Guilt tugged sometimes. Should I have tested? But Dr. Ellis helped me see it. I wasn't responsible for her choices, only mine. Rachel had built a life without me, and I'd done the same, stronger for it. My real family, Nora, Ben, Ellen, George, Sam, never wavered. Nora cooked me dinner, joking about my famous podcast. Ben teased me at a brewery, calling me the family hero. Ellen and George sent a quilt for our new home, their love woven into every stitch. I threw myself into work, finishing a mural for the brewery, vibrant swirls of blue and green like the Blue Ridge Mountains at dawn. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine. Proof I could create through chaos. Sam and I picked wedding flowers. Wildflowers, not roses, simple and true. Dr. Ellis's sessions kept me grounded, helping me let go of what-ifs. Sometimes, late at night, I'd think of Rachel's boys, my half-brothers, innocent in her mess. I hoped they'd be okay, but I couldn't carry her weight. I'd spent too long carrying mine. Last week, I stood in my studio, the mural done, sunlight catching the paint. Sam wrapped his arms around me, whispering, "You're unstoppable." I smiled, feeling it. Rachel's absence wasn't a wound anymore. It was space for Nora's hugs, Ben's pranks, Sam's love, my own art. I'd grown up wondering why I wasn't enough, but now I knew. I was always enough for the people who mattered. The podcast mic sat quiet, but its echo lived in me, a voice I'd found, not borrowed. Asheville's mountains stood steady outside, and so did I, rooted in a family I chose, a life I built, and a peace I'd earned.